by installing Node. So Node installation is fairly straightforward. Basically, you go to the node.js homepage and get started. You can click on either of the packages that are shown here. Either one will work perfectly well for this course if you don't already have Node installed. So go down, click on 4.4.5 LTS, the long-term stable version. It'll download itself, and then you'll follow the directions there. Now, this works great in most cases, but occasionally, especially with newer Macs, the user local file has been protected, and so you have to give yourself ownership to that file to install things. So if the Node installation doesn't work the first time, go ahead and follow the installation instructions that described in the platform. So basically, all you have to do is go to superuser do, chown, and then recursively own user local as whoever you are that's currently logged in using the terminal. Great. Once you've done that, you should have Node available to you. And Node has three major pieces. The first piece is it has a JavaScript interpreter that's built into it. So that piece, basically, you can access by typing in node in your command line, and you'll open up a JavaScript interpreter that you can then run JavaScript commands. Pretty cool. The other two pieces that I have are a bunch of packages that allow you to easily set up a Node server. And Node servers are pretty cool. One of the cool things about them is that they don't work by having they don't work by having multiple threads that come in, like an Apache server. What they do is they have a few threads that come in, and each of those threads basically generate requests, or requests that come into them are put into an event loop, and they're stuck into a queue. And so basically what happens is somebody makes a request, comes in and gets stacked into the bottom of this queue. That queue then gets moved up slowly, and eventually it gets sent off to this event loop. That event loop then says, hey, go to the database. Nope, go to the network. Nope, go do something else. But this sort of process is fairly quick. So it basically wraps around through here and grabs the next thing and sends it off to the next place relatively quickly. And so that works fantastic, except when these processes get backed up. So the Node server doesn't work great for everything, but it works super well when you have this sort of situation where you're trying to get and have things rapidly go through and have not very much processing. So real-time communications where there's chats, fantastic for Node. When you're doing complex mathematical formulas, not so fantastic for Node. Great. So let's go ahead and play around with Node and see the differences between Node in our console as well as Node in our terminal. So Node in our console, we can do things like console log hello as described here, and see hello world, totally fine. We can say alert, I love donuts, because if you've seen any of my other demos, that's pretty much what I talk about. And I need to spell alert correctly. And I'll bring up an alert. Great. So the console, you run JavaScript, works totally fine. You could run a JavaScript file by adding it to your HTML, it would work fine. And you could see console logs showing up in your console if you inspected element. Now, this differs somewhat from what you can do in the terminal with Node. So in the terminal, let's just clear this. In the terminal, we can start Node by basically typing in Node, and then you do console log hello. Works great. But what if we try to do an alert? That doesn't work. And even though Chrome and my V8 engine that I'm using for Node are running basically the same type of interpreter, one of them doesn't work. And the reason for that is that things like alert are actually manipulations of the DOM rather than being true, just pure JavaScript. So a lot of things that we think of as JavaScript are actually JavaScript plus DOM elements interacting together. So that's something important to realize and point out the difference between client side, which is this what you'd see in your web page, and server side JavaScript. So the client side one can interact with DOM elements. The server side one will be able to interact with server type elements. So you can do a lot of the same things, but you can't do all the same things. Great. So that's pretty much the intro to Node. Node's a great way to play around with things. There's a couple of cool NPM packages that you can add. One of them that we'll use a lot is called, let me exit Node here, npm install nodemon, and this -g flag says globally install this thing. So if you install nodemon, what you'll get is a node runner that will watch a file. And every time you save that file, it'll rerun that file and see if things are working. And so this is great when you're learning how to use JavaScript and kind of testing things out at a rapid rate. So you basically say node.mon test.js, which is a file that I've got sitting here, and all it has right now in it is a console log hello. So let's go ahead and play around with that file. And when we play around with it, I'm just going to make a typo in it. Great, so I saved it, and now it tries to rerun. And check out what happened with node.mon. Oh, it crashed. So we can fix it, save it, and see it work. I find this really useful for doing things like algorithms, just playing around and testing new things that I don't understand how they work. It's a great way to rapidly test things. But be aware that if you're doing any DOM manipulation, as we mentioned earlier, node.mon won't work so well. All right, go forth, have fun, enjoy playing with Node and learning JavaScript, and we'll talk soon.